ready to go. Giving them a last bathroom call there? Okay. Let me get him back in here. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams, anything we need to discuss before we get started?
No, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Davis, anything from you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Judge, Sergeant Carlberg, when he was testifying, Mr. Williams showed him a report, and they were talking about whether or not my client, Mr. Wester, had signed the report. As that was happening, Mr. Wester started speaking to me, and we were looking up a few things. And during the lunch break, I went downstairs to the clerk's office and talked with one of the clerks who pulled up the clerk's file with everything scanned in, and the affidavit complaint relating to Richard Andrew Driggers was filed in there with Mr. Wester's signature on it. I brought that to the attention of Mr. Williams. Apparently they didn't have, for some reason, this copy that's in the actual court file.
Okay.
I didn't know if there was some way we could just, if Carlberg coming back or something, but the way it was presented as Mr. Wester was trying to hide something, when in fact in the court file, it was right there.
Can I view it one more time?
Yep.
I know you showed it to me already.
Yeah, I guess Mr. Carlberg is subject to recall. If counsel would like to call him, I don't have any issue with that.
I don't see the need. I'll of course stipulate to its admissibility. I don't dispute that he came from the clerk file like that. We got our copy from the state attorney's office, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office for these reports. And our copy on that second page did not have a signature. This one does. And
Mr. Davis, do you want to prepare me a corrective instruction? We got two options. I can either read a corrective instruction to the jury, or you can call Mr. Carlberg for that purpose, and I don't mind whichever you want to do.
I think a corrective instruction would be fine. And you can give me maybe a minute to.
What do you want to do? Yeah, if you want to do it now, that's fine. If you want to wait and do it at break, that's fine as well. Do you want to?
Since he was the last witness, I think if we just hit that really quick.
All right.
And if Tom, I'll grab a notebook and we can.
Okay. Just get together and see if you can come up with a corrective instruction.
Wrap up something real. And I'll try to write legibly. Judge, I have, what we agreed upon is that you would read the instructions. State Exhibit 6A titled Affidavit of Complaint for Richard Driggers was entered into evidence by the state without Mr. Wester's signature. The parties have discovered and agreed Mr. Wester did sign the affidavit and filed it with the court. The signed copy will be entered as Defense 1.
State anything?
I agree with that, Judge.
Okay. I'll read that to the jury before we start with our next witness.
And I've attached the
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you see how I kind of did my arrow to the title? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please come to rest. Before we call our next witness, I want to read an instruction to you, the jury. States Exhibit 6A, which was titled Affidavit of Complaint for Richard Driggers, was entered into evidence by the state, and that document did not contain Mr. Wester's signature. The parties have discovered and agreed that Mr. Webster did sign the affidavit complaint and filed it with the court. The signed copy will be entered into evidence as Defense Exhibit 1. So you have the signed copy of that, which you'll have back in the jury room. State, is that an agreeable reading?
Yes, sir.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Clerk. State, who would you like to call next?
Randy Howell.
Randy Howell. How are you, sir? Can you raise your right hand for me?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Please be seated, Mr. Howell. Thank you, sir. Couple things, Mr. Howell, if you'll make sure you speak to our jury. They are sitting out in the audience today, where we normally seat the audience, so please speak up. If you hear an objection, pause your testimony, and I'll tell you how to proceed, okay? Mr. Williams?
Good afternoon. Would you state your name for the record?
Harry Randolph Howell,
All right. And in 2018, how are you employed?
Department of Corrections as a state probation officer.
Okay. At that time, specifically the beginning of 2018, were you supervising a man named Joshua Clenny?
Yes, I was.
Did that include taking random urine tests from him to test for possible drugs?
Yes,
Do you recall giving him a drug test February 5th of 2018?
I do.
And did that include, that sample include testing for methamphetamine?
Yes,
Okay, and did that test return any findings for methamphetamine?
no, it was a negative test.
Okay, negative meaning there was
There
or
were
was
no
not?
drugs found in the system.
Okay, and specifically that included methamphetamine, correct?
Yes,
Nothing else, Judge?
Anything, Mr. Davis?
I can have just a moment.
Sure.
No questions.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you, Mr. Howell. Is he going to need to be potentially recalled, or is he good to go, State?
Potential recall?
Mr. Howell, you may be recalled in this case as a witness. Do not talk with anybody about the testimony you've given today or the questions you were asked. Okay, sir? Good luck to you. Thank you, Mr. Howell. Good to see you.
Stay here the rest
No,
of the day?
no, sir. You're excused for the day unless the state tells you otherwise. Thank you, sir. State, who would you like to call now?
Benjamin Bowling.
Benjamin Bowling. Can you raise your right hand, sir?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You can sit down. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bowling, a couple things. That's our jury out where the audience would normally sit. Make sure that you speak up. Also, if you will make sure to pause your testimony if you hear any objection, and I'll tell you how to proceed. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Williams?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you state your name for the record?
My name is Benjamin David Bowling.
Mr. Bowling, do you remember getting pulled over by a sheriff's deputy on the night of October 2nd, 2017?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. And who was with you at that time?
My fiance, Shelly Smith.
All right. And who was driving the car that the two of you were in?
My fiance, Shelly Smith.
All right. And where were the two of you coming from?
We were coming from the Dollar General in Grand Ridge, heading toward Lawrence Road or toward Mariana.
All right. Did you guys been out running errands or something?
No, sir. We had left the house. We ran out of diapers. Had to go make a quick run to the store. Come on our way back home.
You're headed back home. All right.
Yes, sir.
I understand. Was that a car that you had ridden in before?
Yes.
How often would you have been in that car around that time?
Oh, that's our everyday driver. So, pretty much all the time.
Do you recall, you said you recall getting pulled over. Do you remember the sheriff's deputy making contact with you and Miss Smith?
Yes, I do.
Did he tell you the reason that he was pulling you over?
Yes, he did.
Why was that?
He said that our tag lights were out, but then he noticed that they were actually just dim and that we had swerved twice.
Okay. All right. Do you remember swerving on the road or Mrs. Smith swerving?
Not really. I know right before we got to Darby's, there was a dead animal in the road, and she kind of, but still nothing,
Okay.
nothing major. She was driving normal.
Understood, but she could have maybe moved around to not hit an animal, correct?
Yes,
All
yes.
right. So as he's speaking with you and Miss Smith, does he end up taking yours or Miss Smith's identification?
Both.
All right. Tell us about your ID card at that time.
My ID card at the time, all I had on me was my prison ID, so that's what I gave him.
All right. Suffice it to say, you had been released from prison recently, correct?
Yes.
All right, and you gave that to this deputy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, at any point did he end up searching the car?
Yes, he did.
How did that come to be?
Could you?
Well, let me ask it this way. Did you and Miss Smith agree to him searching that car?
Yes, we did.
All right, what preceded that? How did that happen?
He asked her to step to the back of the vehicle. He asked her permission to search it.
Did he say whether he had smelled anything?
Yes, he said that he smelled marijuana emitting from the vehicle.
Had you been smoking marijuana in the vehicle?
No, sir, absolutely not.
What about Miss Smith?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And was she pregnant at the time?
She was. She was 3 months pregnant.
Had you been smoking in the car without Miss Smith earlier?
Absolutely not.
All right. And you said Miss Smith agreed to a search of the car. Were you agreeable as well?
Yeah, I had no issues with it. I mean, it's not my vehicle, so I had no say-so in it anyways.
Okay. Where did you and Mrs. Smith stand while he was searching the vehicle?
We were both asked to step to the back of the vehicle. We were in front of the officer's car. He proceeded to the back of his car, got some things out, come back to my vehicle, or Shelly's vehicle, laid some gloves on the back of the vehicle, and then walks to the driver's side, looks through real quick on the driver's side, then comes back around, grabs the gloves, goes to the side I was sitting on the passenger side.
And did he search that side?
He did for a brief moment, and then he asked me to step over to the vehicle on the passenger side where he was.
Okay. Did you do that?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. Was there any conversation there? Or?
There was. He asked me if I smelled the marijuana. I said, yes, I do, but it is not coming from my vehicle.
All right.
I don't know if it was out in the woods or whatever, but I know it's not coming from my vehicle.
Okay. But you knew the smell of marijuana.
Oh, yes, sir. I do know the smell of it, but it definitely was not coming from my vehicle.
You
So-
know do you know if it was the smell of burnt marijuana or fresh marijuana?
It was fresh. It was not burnt. It was definitely smelled like a green tree, I guess you would say.
Okay.
And then he told me to step back to the back of the vehicle and continued his search.
Other than that moment that you just testified to where you went to the front passenger side, were you present while he was searching the car? Were you where he was while he was searching?
Absolutely not. I was at the back of the vehicle the whole time.
And it was dark, correct?
Yes, it was.
Were there any other police or backup officers on scene at that point?
No, there was not.
What was your reaction when he told you about the odor of marijuana and you said you agreed? I mean, what were you thinking in your head?
Well, I was thinking, my honest opinion, I got a pretty good nose. Matter of fact, coming in here, I smelled a little bit of propane coming from somewhere out there. And I told my wife, she's like, oh, I didn't even smell that. But it was emitting from the officer, not from my vehicle. But me being the person I am, knowing Jackson County Sheriff's Department, majority of the officers, I wouldn't think that an officer would do something like that or have that in their...
It's not something you expressed to him, correct?
No, absolutely not, because I have a little bit of respect for authority.
After that, you said you returned to where you had previously been standing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did he continue to search your car?
Yes, he did.
Okay. After that, did he tell you whether or not he had found anything else in the car?
It was only another brief minute or two. He come to the front of the vehicle and threw some baggies on the front of his hood that was loosely wrapped with a string and had some type of straw or pin or something about, like, something short. And he says, yeah, you have any idea what this is? I said, no, I don't. I said, what is it? He's like, oh, I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And then he goes to the back of his vehicle and gets the test kit.
Okay. Did he perform a field test kit?
Yes, he did.
Did he tell you whether or not it turned positive for meth?
He said it was positive for methamphetamine.
Did he ask you if it was yours?
He did.
Did he tell you where he had found it specifically?
It's been a while, but I know that I believe he told us that he found it in the center console.
All right.
But then he told...
Well, we're going to get to that. So
yes.
Hold on that.
Okay.
The center console, was there anything like that in that center console?
Absolutely not.
You had been riding in the front seat, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you have, I don't know how the console of that car is, but
It's actually
would you have been
broken.
able to see it?
Oh, yeah. It's like broken. The top's missing on it, so you can see all in it.
Had you ever seen anything like that before in that console?
No, sir.
When you told him it wasn't yours, did he ask if it could have been anybody else's or for any other explanation?
At the point after he read me my rights and put me in the back of the car, then he started asking if it could be someone else's.
All
But
right. What did you tell him?
honestly, I don't know. I started running through the people that went through that was in my vehicle, but nobody I know does stuff like that.
When somebody had been in the car, what, the day before or recently before that, correct?
I think, yeah, a couple days before I had a birthday party for my daughter, and we had took a person home, and just me and him had it out too. But without a doubt,
Well, when you took that person home, were they under the influence of meth?
No.
They appeared. Do they have drugs in your car?
no,
Do they have drugs at your child's birthday party?
absolutely not.
Okay. He's already said that he placed you under arrest. And then let's go back to where I cut you off a minute ago. Do you recall, while you were with him telling somebody else that he found those items of meth, those baggies of meth, somewhere different than what he had originally told you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What was that?
He was speaking to my former boss man,
Okay.
and he told him that he found it in between the center console and the seat.
All right.
Or it's three different things. One, he told one person it was in the seat, told another person it was in between the seat, and then told us that it was in the center console.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you the same questions. Was there any Anything like that that you saw sticking out in between the console and the seat?
No, absolutely not. There's nothing in my vehicle, and there wasn't anything in my vehicle.
Did you ask him to test that item for prints or something
I
like
asked
that?
for fingerprints. I asked for DNA test on the straw. I asked for the video camera and the body camera, with any kind of thing they had. And I also asked for a drug test right there on the spot.
Did he take you and book you in jail for this? Did he-
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay. Judge, I'd move to publish State's Exhibit 8E as an echo, a detention report from the Jackson County Jail.
Give me 1 second, counsel. All right, you can go ahead and publish, counsel.
Bittner? Are you able to see that on the screen in front of you, Mr. Bowling?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, is that your booking photo on the top right-hand corner?
That is me.
All right, and Ms. Bittner, if you could scroll down a little bit. We see a book date and a release date right where she's moving that mouse. Are you able to see that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
It's got a book date of October 2nd, 2017, and a release date of October 4th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did your case move on to the court system, and you had to resolve it that way?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you end up entering a plea to these charges?
I did.
All right. And why was that?
The plea that they gave me, they dropped it to a misdemeanor because of the fact of,
Objection, hearsay.
Yeah, let me
I'm going to sustain that.
ask you some more specific questions, focus it in. Did you believe at the time you entered the plea, did you believe that anybody was going to believe you?
no, I did not.
Okay. And were you concerned about going back to prison?
Yes, I was.
Moment, Judge. All right, that's all I have at this time, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
Good afternoon, Mr. Bowling.
How are you today, sir?
I'm good. You doing okay?
Yes, sir, I'm doing all right.
Thank you. Just have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Now, you just testified that when you got pulled over, the only ID you had was your prison ID, correct?
Sir.
When did you get released from prison?
I think November of 2016 or 20, yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay,
16 or 17.
okay.
It's long,
So
it's been a while.
you hadn't gotten a new regular state ID by that point yet?
No, I've been working, trying to get my feet back on the ground and get custody of my daughter and stuff. So
Gotcha.
everybody had been working with me, so it really wasn't important to me at the time.
Okay. And like you said, you were the passenger in the car, you weren't driving, so
Yes, sir.
we really weren't concerned about having a driver's license.
Right.
Gotcha. And do you know how many prior felony convictions you have?
2.
2? Okay. And out of this situation, you also have a civil lawyer now too, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you've got a civil suit filed about this arrest, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I'm assuming that's still pending?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm assuming that you have read the police report from this incident, correct?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. And the police report has already been entered into evidence in your case. Well, there was the affidavit complaint entered as 8A and also the offense incident report as 8B. Did you review that before your testimony here today at all?
I I can't say that I've looked at it today. No, it's been a little bit since I've actually looked at it.
Okay.
But either way.
But are you familiar with Mr. Wester put in his report where he found the items?
The items,
Yes.
the only thing that he found was the baggies. That's all I.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know where in the report it says
Yes,
he
sir, I
found it?
do.
And where does he, in his report, where does he say he found it?
I can't remember if the
Well,
report.
would it refresh your memory to see it?
Yes.
If I can approach
yes,
the
I
witness,
could
Your Honor?
actually.
Yes.
It was on the passenger side of the vehicle, but I just don't remember.
Just take a look at
Yes.
this first paragraph right there. Don't read it out loud, but read it to yourself.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay. So where did, in the report, does he say he found the bag?
In between the console and the front passenger seat.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Williams?
Mr. Davis asked you about a civil case that you're involved with, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Why are you in a civil case? I mean, let me ask you this way. Do you feel like this was wrong that happened to you?
Absolutely. I lost my child because of this.
All right.
Yes, it was very wrong.
All right. That's all. Thank you.
You want to keep Mr. Bowling subject to recall, State?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowling, you are subject to being recalled by the state if they think they need to talk with you again during this trial. Thus, I'm going to ask you, don't watch anything don't watch this trial on television or YouTube. Don't talk with anybody about your testimony here today, okay, sir? All right, good luck to you. Thank you. State, who would you like to talk to now?
Shelly Smith.
Shelly Smith. Ms. Smith, will you raise your right hand for me, ma'am?
You solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. You can sit down. Ms. Smith, a couple things. Our jury's out here today. If you'll speak loud enough that everybody out there can hear you. If you hear an objection, pause your testimony, and I'll tell you how to proceed. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Can I get you to state your name for the record?
Shelly Smith.
All right, Ms. Smith. Do you know Benjamin Bowling?
Yes, sir. He's my fiance.
Okay. And do you remember getting pulled over in a car you and he were in on October 2nd of 2017?
Yes, sir.
All right, were you driving the car at that
Yes,
time?
sir.
Now, we've already heard some testimony about where you guys were going. Do you remember that deputy who pulled you over making contact with you guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And telling you the reason for the stop?
Yes, sir.
Did he end up asking you for permission to search the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Why, did he tell you why he was asking that?
That he smelled marijuana coming from the vehicle.
Okay. Now, was there any marijuana in the vehicle at that time?
No, sir.
Had any been smoked?
No, sir.
Were you pregnant at that time?
Yes, sir. I was.
Did you agree and give him permission to search the car?
I did.
Why was that?
Because I knew there was nothing in there.
Now, where were you and Mr. Bowling while he was searching the car?
At the front of the police, the patrol car.
Okay. Let me ask it this way. Was the police car behind your car?
Yes, sir. It was.
All right. So you were maybe at 1 car lengths away from the front of your car, correct?
Well, from the back of my car, yes, sir, or my Blazer, yes, sir.
Understood. Is that where you stayed for the whole time while he was searching your car?
Yes, sir, that's where I stayed, yes, sir.
Did you ever have a chance to go back to your car and watch him search it and see the specific areas he was looking through?
No, sir.
Do you remember him coming back and telling you or Mr. Bowling that he had found suspected methamphetamine?
Yes, sir.
Did he show those things to you that he said were methamphetamine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you remember seeing?
I remember seeing something, like a couple of bags wrapped with a string, maybe a straw or a pin or something of that sort. He just kind of threw them down on the hood of his car and said, "Well, this is what I found."
Had you ever seen those things before?
No, sir.
Were those things in your car?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was that a car that you were regularly in at that time?
Yes, sir.
Now, at this point, were there any other police on the scene with him?
When he was searching the vehicle?
Yes.
No, sir, not at that time.
All right. Did that deputy ask you whether this was your methamphetamine?
Yes, sir.
What'd you tell him?
If Mr. Benjamin Bowling was going to jail, then I didn't want him to go, so I said that they were mine.
Why was that?
He had a lot more to lose than I did.
What do you mean by that?
He was going to lose custody of his daughter. He was getting custody of his daughter, and he was going to lose custody. I wouldn't have lost custody of my child because he was still in my stomach.
At the point that you offered to take responsibility for those things, was the deputy already telling Mr. Bowling that he was going to get arrested for it?
Yes, sir. He had already had him in handcuffs in the back of the car.
What kind of emotional state were you in at that time?
I was angry, yes, sir.
Just to be very clear with this jury, I mean, I know you've explained why you offered to take those charges, but was that your methamphetamine?
No, sir, it was not.
Did you ever see that in that car?
No, sir, I did not.
You said that the two of you described Mr. Bowling as your fiance. Was he your fiance at that time?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis, any questions?
May I have a moment?
Yes, sir.
No questions.
Ms. Smith, you may be recalled in this case by the state or the defense, so I want to make sure that you understand you don't need to talk with anybody about your testimony today. You don't need to talk with anybody about the questions, and you don't need to watch anything with respect to this trial until it's
Yes,
over.
sir.
Okay, sir? Ma'am, thank you, Ms. Smith. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
State, who do you want to talk to next?
Laura Parrish.
Okay. Ms. Parrish, you raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good afternoon, Ms. Parrish. You can sit down. That's our jury today, so if you'll make sure you speak loud enough for them. Mr. Williams?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you state your name for the record?
Laura Parrish.
Okay, and are you attorney here in the state of Florida?
I am.
In 2017 and 2018, were you an assistant state attorney here in Jackson County?
I was with the state attorney's office here in Jackson from 2010 to 2019.
And were you assigned to prosecute felony cases?
Yes.
Just very generally, Ms. Parrish, would you describe what a deposition is?
Sure. A deposition is typically set by the defense in a case, and the defense will subpoena the state's witnesses. The state's witnesses will then appear and talk about their knowledge of the case. It's a pre-trial preliminary proceeding.
Is it a chance, like you said in your description, where maybe the defense sets, is it a chance for the defense attorney to get more information than may not necessarily be included in an arrest report or something like that?
Correct. The defense will receive what's called a discovery packet. That's mostly paperwork or videos, things of that nature. And then after receiving that, they would set depositions to ask any questions that may have come up in their review of the discovery packet or anything that might not be readily understandable or accessible from the discovery packet alone.
And are depositions typically under oath?
Yes, any deposition I've ever taken has always been under oath, yes.
And can it be treated under oath as sworn testimony and potentially even used as testimony in certain proceedings?
Yes, it's frequently used.
Do you recall being a prosecutor on the case of State of Florida versus Mr. Benjamin Bowling?
I do.
Do you recall whether there was a deposition set for the defendant, Zachary Wester, and his role in that case?
I do recall there being a deposition set in that case by Attorney Guy Green.
Okay. And was the defendant, did he appear for that, attend that deposition and testify?
Did Mr. Wester appear? Is that what you asked me?
Yes.
He
Mr.
did not.
Wester.
I have a recollection of this case as well, and also reviewed my notes prior to today, and both reflect that he did not appear.
Okay. And he was served, correct?
Service was filed with the clerk of court, stating that he was personally served. I was not personally present when that service occurred.
Okay. But the records that you were privy to demonstrated that, correct?
What was filed within the clerk's office by Attorney Green stated that he had been served.
All right. Now, were you also the prosecutor on State of Florida versus Richard Driggers?
Yes.
Likewise, was there a deposition scheduled by that defense attorney for the defendant, Zachary Wester, to come and testify about his role in that case?
Yes, my notes from that case reflect that Attorney Russell Roberts scheduled depositions in that case and had subpoenaed Mr. Wester for that case.
Okay, did Mr. Wester appear and testify?
My notes indicate that he did not.
That's all, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
Good afternoon, Ms. Parrish.
Good afternoon.
How you doing today?
As good as anybody else here, I'm sure.
I'm assuming you would rather be anywhere but sitting right there right now.
Correct.
Okay. Just a couple of questions for you. So you were an assistant state attorney from 2010 to 2019?
November 30th of 2019 would have been my last day with the state attorney's office here.
Okay. And how long were you a felony prosecutor?
I don't know the exact year. I began handling felony traffic cases, I would say probably 2012, 2013 maybe,
So you-
something along that lines.
Okay, so quite a few years as a felony prosecutor.
Yes,
And I'm assuming you probably sat through lots of depositions.
yes.
Was it unusual for a law enforcement officer to sometimes not show up for a depo?
It was not unusual, especially during a time period with the sheriff's office.
during that time period, it would not be unusual for a deputy to not show up.
It was not unusual, no.
Okay. And in the normal process of things, if somebody doesn't show up that is under subpoena, the person that issued the subpoena can ask the court to issue an order to show cause, right?
Yes, that's procedurally correct.
Okay, so that would, and so instead of just, well, they didn't show, we got to dump the case, they really wanted to, we could get the court to issue an order to show cause.
The subpoenas weren't mine, but the attorney that issued the subpoenas, yes, could have asked for an order to show cause.
Right. And do you recall if that was ever done in the case of Mr. Clenny or Mr. Richard Driggers or Mr. Benjamin Bowling?
I don't have a lot of independent recollection of the Richard Driggers case. I do as to the Benjamin Bowling case, and I can say that no, that was never done as to the Benjamin Bowling case.
Okay. No further questions.
Mr. Williams?
Would that be because you offered reduced pleas on those two cases?
I did. On Benjamin Bowling's case, he actually showed up at part of the deposition.
Who did?
Mr. Bowling showed up at the very end of the deposition. He was waiting in the hallway during that deposition. And I ended up discussing the plea with him and his attorney present. At that time, my office was on the back side of the courthouse, and I offered him a misdemeanor time served.
Okay. And Mr. Driggers got a reduced plea.
He did. He was
recommendation,
offered a pretrial intervention, which is a
Okay.
diversion program.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ms. Parrish, you are subject to recall in this case. Thank you, ma'am. Good to see you. Your next one, Mr. Williams, going to be Odom.
Yes.
Let's take a 10-minute recess. It is 2:05. Jury, I'm going to release you for 10 minutes. Same rules that we've been talking about are going to apply. If you'll be back in the jury room at 2:15, that'll help us kind of get prepared for our next witness. Thank you. We'll be in recess. Leave your blue notebooks in the courtroom, please.
All rise.